Hi, boys, girls, and everyone else that is joining me for tonight's Did You Know? Now, we're going to do something a little bit different this evening. Our Did You Knows have been about things that mostly have been taught in church. We've talked about mm, fasting during Lent, we've talked about Lent, we've talked about Ash Wednesday. What else have we talked about? Goodness, I'm going to have to go and look back and see. But there's lots more that we are going to be talking about in other weeks coming up. What baptism means, and so many other subjects, so many questions we're trying to cover, so many subjects that we are trying to cover, just so that we can all get an understanding of what some of the things that are so important to the Methodist Church mean to us. Today's Did You Know is titled Chickens. Did you know chickens? So, what have chickens got to do with church? Funny you should ask me that, because I have actually brought my chickens to church quite a few times. At Easter time, I have shown baby chicks. Now, why would I show a baby chick at Easter time? And I don't, can you even see what I have in my hand here? He's kind of sleeping on my shoulder. Even though we're talking about chickens, we're talking about new life. And I have a baby bunny here. Yeah, hi. Now let's bring you back up. This is Chibi. Now, Chibi is very special. Chibi is 3 months old. So Chibi actually represents new life, right? Because you're a cute bunny. Chibi represents new life because she is a new bunny. Now, my daughter named him Chibi. I'm not even sure where that name comes from, but it's stuck. So, and Chibi has a sister too. Chibi's sister is pure white. They look very cute when they snuggle together and sleep. But let's get to our subject. Chickens. What do they have to do with Easter? Well, I have a poem that I am going to read to you. And this poem kind of tells us a little bit about what chicks have to do with Easter. Let me go across my screen. There we go. Now I have a poem. So let's get our listening ears on and see if you can pick out of this poem what chicks might have to do with Easter. Okay, here we go. Eggs and chicks and bunnies are near, right? For Easter, you see, will soon be here. But what is Easter, and why the spring season? Gather round and I'll tell you the reason. Chicks are hatched out of eggs, you see. They represent new life for you and for me. For Jesus died and was buried 3 days. Then Easter morning, he was raised. So when we die, we can live again. Jesus gave new life to all God's children. Bunnies are part of Easter too. Are you happy to hear that? Bunnies are part of Easter too. They're born in the spring when all is new. The grass, the flowers, and leaves start to grow, putting an end to their sleep in the snow. So as you gather your treats and have fun, let them remind you of Jesus and all he has done. Now, did you hear, boys and girls, in that poem where chicks represent new life? Let me read that part again. Chicks are hatched out of eggs, you see. They represent new life for you and for me. For Jesus died and was buried 3 days. Then Easter morning, he was raised. So chicks represent new life because they come out of an egg and they just represent this going from just an egg, breaking open and producing new life. And when Jesus died on the cross, 3 days later, he rose again and gave us new life. So that is why, boys and girls, our little bunnies and our chicks remind us of what Jesus did for us at Easter. Let's go back. I have some chicken facts for you. Let's see. I'm going to swap my bunny for a chicken. Now, some things. Here's another little poem for you while we're doing our switch out here. Easter duck and Easter chick. So this poem is called Some Things That Easter Bring. Easter duck and Easter chick. Easter eggs with chocolate thick. Easter hats for one and all. Easter bunny makes a call. Happy Easter always brings such a lot of pleasant things. Okay, let's do a switch out. Thank you, Maxwell. I have Maxwell helping me. Whoops, there we go. Thank you. Oh, hi, Ruby. This is Ruby. You say hi. You're going to peck me. Ruby is actually very friendly. She is a kind of a house chicken. She's trained to live inside and give cuddles, right? Now, she's a funny looking chicken. She is a bantam frizzle chicken. So she kind of looks a little bit like she's had an electric shock. Her feathers curl outwards. That's where the name frizzle comes from. And Ruby is actually a mummy. And she hatched an egg. She didn't lay the egg. She hatched the egg. And do you know what egg she hatched? Because I gave her an egg. She hatched a duck egg. Didn't you? So Ruby's a chicken, but she has a duck baby. So that just shows that family is family. Doesn't matter what you look like, how different you may look to each other. Family is family. Especially when love is there, and you love your duck, don't you? So Ruby's a very good mummy. So let's read some chicken facts, and Ruby, you can tell me if you agree with this. I also have some other animals to show you, and we will do that after we do these chicken facts. I would like you to count up, boys and girls, how many of these chicken facts you actually knew already. These are really interesting. I know. There are more chickens in the world than people. Did you know that? In fact, globally, chickens outnumber people 3-1. So there's more chickens than there are people in this world. Who knew? Right? You taking over? Yes. History indicates that fowl, so chickens, maybe ducks, were domesticated, so kind of kept as pets or kept on farms as far back as 3,200 BC. That's a long time ago. So you've been around a while, right, Ribs? You might have heard your parents or guardians say, you need to go out in the sunshine because you need to get some vitamin D, because we get vitamin D from sunshine. Our skin absorbs vitamin D. Did you know that chickens absorb vitamin D through their combs, which is this bit right here. Right here, this little red bit on Ruby's head, right here. That is where they absorb their vitamin D from. I know, this is so interesting. Now the shell color, I have some examples here. The shell color on eggs, so the eggshell color, is determined by the breed of the hen, so the type of hen that's laying the egg. And it has no difference on the quality or nutrients or flavor of the egg. Let's see here. I have eggs here. You can eat the eggs. No, those aren't for you. Do you see the different colors I have? I have a dark brown. Oh, Ruby, don't fall off. I have an olive green, light brown, and I have one here, another olive green one here. Now, do you think because it's a green egg, you'd often don't see green eggs in shops. Sometimes you do, of course, but you don't often see olive eggs, green eggs in the shops. Now, I have one here, and I gave it a wash before I showed it to you, and I accidentally cracked it. So let's have a look and see if the egg's going to be green. Do you think? Let's see. Open it up. What do you think, Ruby? What do you think? Ruby likes eggshells. That looks like an ordinary egg to me. It's got the yellow in the middle, and then the white, the egg white all around. So it doesn't matter what color egg. It could be dark brown. It could be light green. They're all the same on the inside. It's like just like people. You've got friends, I'm sure, that have different color skin tones, that have different kind of features, different colored hair, but on the inside, we're all the same. What else I wanted to show you? Look at these absolutely adorable mini eggs. Look. Tiny. See these? These are quail eggs. And you're probably thinking, what on earth is a quail? What bird can lay an egg that is that small? Even Ruby's eggs are bigger than that. Let me show you. Now, quail are very nervous. They tend to jump around and scoot around, and they're very, very quick. So we have 11 quail, and I took 2 of them out of their cage, and I have them in a glass container just to show you. Now, they don't live in this glass container, so don't worry. Now, these 2, they're best friends, because quail, when they find their best friend, they are best friends for life. Now, here are, oh, come here, little babies. Here are 2 of the quail that we have. Can you see them? I don't want to get them out because they might escape, but these are 2 of our quail. These 2 are called Miss Piggy and Trouble. So I wonder if you could tell which one's which. Which one's Trouble and which one is Miss Piggy. So we're going to go and put them back in their big cage now, but I just wanted to give you a chance to see the birds that lay those teeny tiny eggs. Maxwell, can I give you the quail, please? Thank you. All right, let's get back to some of our facts. The longest recorded flight of a chicken, so the time that they fly, is 13 seconds. That's the longest ever recorded time that a chicken has flown consistently. Hens take... Ruby can come back and visit us, please. We miss Ruby. Hens take about 24, thank you, to 36 hours to produce one egg. So the egg, like right now, Ruby has an egg getting ready inside her body. Her body is producing an egg inside. When Ruby lays an egg, or when a chicken lays an egg, 30 minutes later, they start getting ready for their next egg. But it takes 24 hours for that egg to be ready to lay. So basically, chickens are like egg machines. They're either getting it ready or they are actually laying the egg. So the chickens, they work harder than we give them credit for. How do you tell if an egg is fresh? So if I go outside to my garden, we have lots of chickens. If we collect all the eggs, actually Maxwell collects all the eggs for us and looks after the chickens. If I collect all these eggs, how do I know if they are fresh, if they've been laid that day, or if they were laid a week ago and I just didn't see the egg? If you put eggs, I wish I had an old egg to show you, but I didn't have one to give an example. But if you put an old egg and a new egg into a bowl of water, the old egg will rise to the top and the new fresh egg will stay at the bottom. So if you are confused and don't know if your eggs are old or new, put them in a bowl of water and you will be able to tell the ones that do not float are fresh. I do that all the time with my eggs. Did you know there are nearly 200 breeds and varieties of chickens worldwide? Now, I don't have 200 chickens, but I got lots of different colors and lots of different types of chickens. The average hen, so the hen is the lady chicken, the average hen will lay, I wonder if you can guess how many eggs a year a hen will lay. Shout out your answers, boys and girls. 227 eggs per year. That's how many the average hen will lay. Now, we have some chickens that are known to be really good egg layers, and they lay over 300 eggs a year. We also have chickens that insist on not laying in their egg box, and they go out and find the most random places to lay eggs. Under the rose bush, in our carport, in a flower pot. The most peculiar place, I should share the photo on our Engaged Children's Ministry Facebook site. The most unusual place I have found our chicken eggs are in our canoe. Are you falling asleep? Now, the funny part is our canoe was stood up. We had it propped up against the wall in our carport, and the chicken had hopped up and she laid a whole bunch of eggs in the canoe seat before I realized a couple of weeks later that that's where she was laying her eggs. An eggshell, let's get this, has as many as 17,000 pores over its surface. So if you look in your own skin, if you look really, really close, you might see tiny little dots in your skin. They're almost like tiny little holes in your skin. Really, really, really tiny. You might need a magnifying glass. Look on your nose, look around. Eggs have pores too. Now, you can't see them as easily as you could with, say, our faces in a mirror if you look closely. But eggs have 17,000 pores all over its surface. Did you know that there is such a thing as a fear of chickens? It's a word that I don't really know how to pronounce. Alectorophobia. Now that's a long word that I bet I will not have to use again. But there is such a thing as a phobia, which is a fear of chickens. I don't know why, because you're so sweet. The US, so America, produces about, well, the United States produces about 75 billion eggs a year. 75 billion. So look at these eggs I have here. Now, You stop. I have 8 eggs here. No, I don't. I have 12 eggs here. Um, Imagine 75 billion. I don't know where I put that many eggs. So the United States actually produces 10% of the world's supply of chicken eggs. Roosters. Who can tell me what a rooster is? A rooster's a chicken, but what type of chicken is a rooster? Ruby isn't a rooster. Ruby is a hen. What would be the opposite to a hen? A rooster is a male chicken. It's a boy. Roosters can be quite noisy. We've had a lot of roosters over our time who I had to find different homes on different farms for because they were far too loud. But roosters can't crow. That's what it's called, the noise they make. You might think of cock-a-doodle-doo is a noise you might think of that a rooster makes. It's actually a lot louder and a lot more obnoxious than that. But roosters can't crow if they can't extend their neck. So, if they can't stretch their neck out to make that cock-a-doodle-doo, then they can't crow. Something I bought for one of my roosters a long time ago, it's called a no crow collar. There is such a thing. I did put a collar on my rooster, and you know what? It was a Superman collar. It was pretty cool. So what I did is I got it and I put it, and it's very safe. I put it around the rooster's neck. So you put, it's like a little Velcro band. This one had Superman on it. And so it's quite comfortable for the chicken, except they can't put their head back and extend their neck all the way because they have this collar on. That kind of stops them doing that. It stops them stretching their neck out all the way. So they just can give a little quiet crow instead of the big loud one that they would give. And that can help people that live in cities, especially if they are allowed chickens. That can help them keep roosters a little bit quieter for the neighbours. Now, this is a fact that I didn't know before. Chickens that lay brown eggs, we get a lot of brown eggs, have red earlobes. Who knew? See, this is why we need to do things like did you know? Because how else would we know that chickens that lay brown eggs have red earlobes? Now, I hope this means that every chicken you meet in the future, you check their earlobes. Now, Ruby, have you got red earlobes? I'm not going to bother you. But Ruby has pink earlobes. So there is a genetic link between the two, between brown eggs and red earlobes. The largest chicken on record weighed 23 pounds. 23 pounds and 3 ounces, actually. That's a lot. Now, when you were born, in comparison to that 23 pounds, most of you, not all of you, but most of you probably averaged from 6 to 10 pounds. That's kind of, now my dog's talking to us. Most of you weighed between 6 and 10 pounds. The largest chicken was 23 pounds. Could you imagine how big that is? That's like 2 or 3 newborn babies. That was one big chicken. Some hens take breaks from egg laying every 3 to 5 days. I don't blame you. If you take a break from egg laying, Ruby took a long break from egg laying when she was looking after her baby because she just did not have the energy to look after a baby and lay eggs. Some chickens rest every 10 days. So maybe that's like the Sabbath for chickens. Every 3 to 5 days, every 10 days. Is that your Sabbath? What do you do on your Sabbath, Ruby? Ruby's falling asleep. A hard cooked egg. So if I took an egg and I boiled it and it was hard cooked, you know when you can peel open an egg and it's cooked inside? It will peel more easily if it has been stored for 1 to 2 weeks before it's cooked. So you can actually tell how fresh an egg is by if it's easy to peel or not. So when I give a lot of our eggs to people when our chickens hatch them, especially in the summertime when they tend to hatch more eggs. They can be really hard to peel, really hard. You can just peel off little bit by little bit by little bit instead of just peeling off that whole peel if it was a lot older. Couple more facts I have for you. It takes about 4 pounds of feed. That's a lot of feed. 4 pounds of feed to make a dozen eggs. So a chicken would have to eat 4 pounds of feed to make a dozen eggs. Now, they don't lay a dozen all at once because that wouldn't work out very well. So it can get to be quite expensive to keep chickens, especially if you've got huge, chunky chickens. Couple more facts I have for you. Matilda won the title of the world's oldest living chicken in the Guinness Book of World Records in 2004. Boys and girls, shout out how old you think Matilda lived to be. Matilda, the oldest living chicken in the world, lived to be 16 years old. 16. Now, you might not think that's very old, but that's actually very, very old for a chicken. All right, this is the last fact I have for you. It's a cool fact. Kentucky was a chicken that hatched from an egg that had been incubated. I'll explain that in a second. Had been incubated in space aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery. He lived out his life at the Louisville Zoo. So incubated, what does that mean? I take an egg like this. Now, this egg will not make a baby chick. None of my eggs will, because we don't have a rooster. And it takes a rooster and a hen to make a fertile egg. That's a story for another time. But my eggs currently, because I don't have a rooster, are just for eating. We don't put them in an incubator. But before, when I had a rooster, I have something called an incubator. It's a square box with a see-through lid that you plug in to the wall, and it has little compartments in it that you can put eggs in, and it heats up to the perfect temperature, this incubator, and the eggs in the little compartments are very slowly turned. So imagine this is the incubator. These eggs in the incubator, Ruby, leave the eggs alone. The eggs in the incubator would slowly turn back and forth. And that helps the chicks to grow inside the egg. So with the heat from the incubator and the turning of the eggs, that's how chicks grow inside the eggs without the help from a mama chicken. If you had a mama chicken, they would lay on the eggs to keep it warm, and they would wiggle around sometimes and sometimes get their foot and shift the eggs around so that the babies can grow inside the egg. But the fact that I just read you, Kentucky the chicken, was hatched in space. I don't know who came up with that idea to hatch a chicken in space, but that was quite the idea, and I'm really glad it worked out. That he was brought back and lived his life at the zoo. So those are some fun facts that I have for you. Okay, I can see you again. Now, Ruby, any last words? Any last words for everybody? Now, remember we talked about at the beginning. Is my helper still there? Can you please bring me our last star of the show, Angel? I forgot her name for a second. Don't tell Angel I forgot her name. So, as we close, who can remember why chicks, baby chicks especially, represent new life? Chicks hatching from the egg represent new life. But what's that got to do with Easter? Chicks hatching out of an egg represent new life, just like Jesus gave us new life by dying on the cross at Easter and being raised 3 days later. Baby chicks are sometimes a way that we show new life to just kind of give an example of some of the beautiful things that we have on this earth that represent new life and make us think of all that Jesus did for us. Now, Ruby, I'm going to bring Angel over to say goodbye to everybody. Maybe Angel can say our closing prayer. But Ruby has been known not to be very nice to Angel, so let's see if you two can be friends. You're going to jump on Angel. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Angel, I just saved you from Ruby. I did. This is Angel. This is Chibi's sister. She is bigger than Chibi. I don't know how. They were born at the same time from the same mummy and daddy. But look at these chubby cheeks. Maybe Angel will end up in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's chubbiest bunny. What do you think? Have you got the world's chubbiest cheeks? She's such a good bunny. She likes to lay on her back like a baby and have her tummy stroked. Oh, not today, you don't. How about you hop down? Okay, boys and girls, it has been an absolute pleasure spending today with you. And we are going to close now in prayer. As always, if you have any questions, always feel free to message me. You can get hold of me through our Engaged Children's Ministry Facebook site or find my information on the graceumc.org website. Okay, let's get into an attitude of prayer. Deep breath. Let's clear our mind of all of the thoughts that may be running through it and open our minds to God's word. Dear God, we thank you for all of the new life that you bring into this world, especially at this time of year in spring. We see new life and flowers and animals and just so many things that can bring our minds back to new life, the new life that Jesus gave to us at Easter when he died on the cross and rose again. We thank you for all Jesus did for us. And again, we thank you for the signs that we can see looking out of our windows, walking around, and help us that when we see these signs of new life, to think of Jesus and to thank you, to thank Jesus for all you have given us. In your name, we thank you and we pray. Amen. All right, my lovelies. This was a fun Did You Know session. A Did You Know chickens session. All right. Join me on Thursday for our Lent study, our children's Lent study at 5 o'clock. We will be going over the third and fourth commandment. And this is for children. So it's a study that you will be able to understand and have fun with and hopefully just take some knowledge away with you and take that out into the world. Our youth study is on Sunday evenings. Okay, my lovelies. Remember that I love each and every one of you. If you ever need me, reach out to me. I am here for you. Cheers and good night.